Hey everybody, how's it going? Seth Williams here with my friend Keith Winehold of Get Rich Education. Keith and I are doing an interesting little experiment here. It's a two-part video swap where we're having a conversation about something, and part one of that conversation is on Keith's channel, and then part two is right here on REtipster. So what you're looking at is part two. If you want to go check out part one, I'll have a link to that beneath this video, or you can click right on the screen if you want to. But in part two, we're going to talk more about the subject of AI, not only in real estate, but also in business and just in our everyday lives. We kind of opened up this conversation over on the Get Rich Education YouTube channel, and we're going to wrap it up right here. So, Keith, what other questions do you have about this?
Well, you're such a good resource. You're really pretty pioneering in learning AI and helping you with problems and solutions in both your overall life and in real estate investing. So, tell us by now, what are some of the most unexpected or just like totally impressive things that AI has helped you with, and how do you do that stuff?
That's a really long list, but the thing that I have been most impressed with as of late is something that both ChatGPT and Google Gemini can both do this now, kind of in different ways, but they can look at your computer screen and help you figure out all kinds of complex problems. Talked about this a little bit in part one, but just earlier this morning, I had my ChatGPT mobile app right here on my phone. I had it on a tripod pointed at my screen, and it was walking me through how to set up a couple new zaps on Zapier using webhooks, which just right there, I probably lost most people. It's just a confusing thing to figure out. I still don't fully understand it, but I was explaining my problem and what I was trying to do, and I could just talk for as long as I want until I'm done talking, and then ChatGPT chimed in, and in about 30 seconds, it solved my problem and told me exactly what to do. And Google has another way of doing this where it's actually like on your computer, like seeing your entire screen, and it kind of does the same thing where a voice talks back to you. And it's amazing because I know how hard some of these things can be. They're the type of thing that would either make me give up and just not do what I'm trying to do, or pay somebody a bunch of money to come and fix the problem for me or stand over my shoulder. Either which way, it's not a great outcome. But with the help of these AI chatbots that can see everything going on, and they have basically all the knowledge in the world about how to solve the problem, they can do it really quickly and easily. And it's amazing. That's one of millions of different things you can do with ChatGPT.
Oh dear. If AI looked at my computer screen, the first thing they would probably tell me is to close half of the tabs that I have open.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So, well, in any case, here we are in part two of two in our video series here. How are you personally using AI in your real estate investing business today, since we're here on the REtipster YouTube channel?
Yeah. Well, lots of ways, but one thing that has been particularly useful to me is the use of what's called custom GPTs, which basically just means you are training ChatGPT to respond to you in a very specific way based on certain instructions you give it. So every time you start a conversation, like it already knows why you're there, what you're looking for, what assumptions you want it to make. And one example of a custom GPT I've made is one that can very quickly analyze big commercial projects, like whether it's a self-storage facility or industrial outdoor storage. I've explained to it how I want it to run the numbers based on certain information I give it, like square footage and pricing and occupancy rates and that kind of thing. So I can basically feed it like 6 or 7 key pieces of information, and in 20 seconds, it can tell me, give me like a 1 to 10 rating based on this is a great deal, you should move forward, or this is a terrible deal, look the other way. And the reason this is a big deal is because the way I used to handle this was I had a giant spreadsheet, and I would go line by line, filling in all these different inputs, and it would take me at a minimum like 30 to 45 minutes to get to the same place of understanding, like, yes, this is good, I should keep going on this, or no, this is a terrible deal. And it can just like look at a lot of stuff, a lot of data very quickly. And it's not like the final answer necessarily. Like, you don't just blindly follow whatever it tells you to do, but it can just get to the bottom of stuff, or I guess get further to the bottom of stuff, wasting a whole lot less time. So, as a real estate investor, that's super helpful. And people in like banking and accounting and all this stuff, fields where like
there are full-time analysts that look at this stuff all day long, and it naturally takes humans a lot of time to figure this stuff out, but AI can get there much faster.
Yeah, that is pretty remarkable. And it sounds like you're finding a pretty high degree of reliability and not getting what we call hallucinations in the AI world.
Yeah, that is sort of a developing thing. So
Yeah.
hallucinations, it's definitely a real issue where it basically will just make up stuff that sounds viable, but it's not right.
And the only way you would really know that is if you knew better in the first place, which means why am I even asking the question if I already know the answer? So it was kind of an issue where, ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini would just make stuff up. But I think one of the ideas with some of the newer models they're coming out with, like O1 or O3 Mini now is what they've got. They use a lot more logic in these models. And the difference is when you ask it one of these questions, and if it doesn't know the answer, it'll just say, I don't know.
That's
It's
a
not
better
gonna-
answer than hallucinating. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, ChatGPT 4.0, it's kind of like the difference between if you hire a very polite, VA on the other side of the world who's
Yeah.
trained to be a yes man or a yes woman. Like they want to make you happy and they're going to tell you what you want to hear, whether it's right or not. Whereas, these more advanced logical models are more like your accountant, where it's like, I'm not here to impress you. I'm just going to tell you the facts and how things really are. I think depending on what you're trying to do, like there's certain situations where you'd want the more creative 4.0 version, other situations where you'd want the logical one. So if I'm trying to do code or analyze numbers or do something where accuracy is very important, that's where I want to use those logical models. But if I'm writing a story or song lyrics or whatever, and creativity is more important, that's when I'd want to do 4.0. So it's not that either one is better or worse. It just depends on what you're trying to accomplish and what output you want from it.
Sure. Part of this is knowing which tool to apply. There might be a grain of gratefulness that there are such things as hallucinations, right? I mean, it still takes you, a human being, thinking to confirm, does that answer make sense? And it's just simply a good idea, or could that be inaccurate? So the human component sounds like isn't completely displaced yet at this point. And starting probably more than 10 years ago, Seth, when people began to look for answers to everyday questions, oftentimes they would go to YouTube and they would just like to get their answer that way. Why is this faucet leaking or anything else? And watch a YouTube video about that. What's your process, though, for using AI to take a YouTube video and summarizing it and extracting key insights that way?
Yeah. Well, there is a free Chrome extension called GLASP, GLASP, that I just use it this morning. I use it all the time.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
So it kind of sits on top of YouTube. So when you're on YouTube and you have this Chrome extension there, this little button appears and you can copy a transcript of the entire video and then take that and paste it into ChatGPT, and you can ask it whatever you want about what that video is about. You can say, summarize it in one sentence, or you could say, does this video talk about this issue? And if so, where and what does it say about it? Literally, whatever you can imagine that could viably come from that video, you could get that information from it. And that alone is amazing. And it kind of goes back to what is the purpose of this video? Or what is my question that I'm trying to get answered? Am I looking for entertainment? Or do I, for example, I've been watching a lot of videos about guitars and guitar pedals and amps lately. And I want to hear what this guitar sounds like. And that's something that I kind of have to watch a video for that. A transcript's not really going to help me. ChatGPT's not going to help me. I just actually have to watch the video. So this doesn't totally render videos useless. It just depends on why you're watching it and what information you want to get and how can you get there faster.
Yeah, well, this has been great. Seth, are there any last things that we should know about AI, whether that's misconceptions or making sure that we're using the right AI tools and avoiding the wrong ones? And before you do, again, this has been part 2 of our AI video series with Seth Williams. If you haven't already, go ahead and be sure to subscribe to Seth's channel and hit the notification bell as well, because he has a lot more granular information on how you can use AI in business, real estate, and just your everyday life. Any last thoughts, Seth?
I think if people are really interested in this stuff, there's plenty of places you can go online. This is a huge trending topic on YouTube. Lots of good information out there. We actually put together a school community
intended primarily for real estate investors and business people. You can find that at pulseinnercircle.com, Pulse, innercircle.com. We're talking about this stuff all the time. My friend Mike Balcom and I did a couple different courses on this stuff, like a guided course that was awesome. I mean, we even learned a lot of stuff going through the process, but it is a rapidly advancing area right now, and it has been ever since ChatGPT came out. Like every week, there's some huge new thing out there. So it's something that's worth paying attention to, because even like right now, it's incredible the stuff you can do. And interestingly, like most people aren't doing it. So if you are up to speed and educated on it, you've got a superpower that most other people don't know exists or aren't willing to learn. So, yeah.
That's a great point. If you just learn 1% of this, you're going to be ahead of the general population, and it's really easy to do. Seth, I've done some learning about AI myself. This has been a great chat. Thanks.
You bet. And again, if you guys want to see part 1 of this video, you can see it right here. Also, go ahead and check out Get Rich Education, Keith's channel. It's awesome. Hope you enjoy it.